Congress, the House Armed Services Committee, Intelligence Committee, Banking Committee, Foreign Intelligence Committee, Foreign Affairs Committee. I was pounced on by people like Senator Bill Nelson, who wrote to Senator Dianne Feinstein, how is this Scott Bennett getting this material? And I mean, there's a long saga of the cover up, but this directly connects to the Obama, Biden, Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder cabal, and they were financing terrorism through Swiss banks, hundreds of millions of dollars, and other things. And a lot of that also went to the biological chemical weapons labs that they were installing in Ukraine. And that was one of the main reasons for the coup d'etat in 2014. They wanted to maintain their weapon systems that they were developing to ultimately use against Russia and the development of DNA-based weapons and that sort of thing. So the black money, the dark money, the secret accounts are notorious for funding a lot of these deep operations. So that's why my reports are just a indictment of the U.S. government, specifically under Obama and Clinton, or Obama and Biden and Hillary Clinton, participating in running this. And it was all a money laundering operation. It was to get money from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Morocco, Mauritania, Niger, all sorts of Middle Eastern countries, Chad, in the U.S. Central Command area of influence of operations, and then fund that money to the Hillary Clinton Foundation in exchange for State Department favors and weapons licenses and things of that nature. And they were funding overthrow operations against Bashar Assad. They were doing overthrow operations against Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. This is what the real United States government has been doing. And when I discovered a lot of this, Rashid, I was sickened to my core that this government was the opposite of everything that the American people were brought up to believe. I mean, my father was a Marine Corps aviator in Vietnam. We all, raise our hand and do an oath to the flag, and we love our country. But when you discover this sort of treachery and criminality and treason by people at the highest levels of the U.S. government, it sickens you to no doubt. And I was sickened and horrified by people in the Trump administration that knew about this too. Mike Pompeo, I sent him my reports when he was in the House, when he was a congressman. I sent it to Jeff Sessions when he was a senator. I sent it to Lindsey Graham. I sent it to John McCain. We know how much of a corrupt demoniac he is. I sent it to probably over 100 senators and congressmen, and I have it all in my book of exhibits. Every letter that went out, the CIA tried to come in and cover it up. They sent Michael Isikoff and Tom Hamburger, two journalists, to try and gauge what I had. I gave it to them to say, publish this. They never published a word. They simply said, Mr. Bennett, why do you think the CIA would do this? And I had never mentioned the CIA, so they were puppets for them. But that's the reality behind the curtain, Rashid. We are in a country that is run by idiots, imbeciles, maniacs, and lust-driven criminals that should all be destroyed after due process of law, of course. But they should all be given the death penalty for treason, and including several people in the Trump administration: H.R. McMaster, James Mattis, Mike Pompeo. Trump is still on the fence, and we'll see if he survives this. But there's a lot of criticism because all of this happened under his watch. Ukraine really happened a lot under Trump's watch because he could have stopped all of that stuff and declared Ukraine neutral so that Russia and the U.S. and everyone would have settled down. Instead, he allowed a lot of the stuff to continue, the biochemical labs, and inciting these right-wing lunatic Nazi-loving fascists in Ukraine with Hitler tattoos all over their back. These moronic, knuckle-dragging, hills have eyes rejects are suddenly the U.S. allies. I think that's a disgusting betrayal to everything that this country is supposed to represent. So I hope and pray for a major revolution in this country where conservatives of every color, every creed, every ethnicity, those people who love the freedom and the country and the Constitution will unite into, I think, an archipelago of states and sovereign republics in America, And those who want to go their way of leftism, Chaz zones, and the chaos we see and the violence in some of these areas like New York and elsewhere, we have to kind of walk away from those areas as dead zones. I think there has to be a renaissance in this country, and it starts with knowing what they've really been doing in Washington. And Biden, my God, you could write volumes of his little
Corruption.
girl sniffing, sexual corruption, perversion, and drug addicted lunatic son.
Well, so in words, you're saying that ISIS is a byproduct of the American government,
I'd
and
say it's a product. It's a primary product that was sought and developed in coordination with the Israeli Defense Forces, the British MI6, the CIA, Special Operations Command under Lloyd Austin when he was general in charge of training. They were funded and financed by the U.S. government to be pawns, to destabilize regimes that were trying to divorce the U.S. petrodollar dominated Rothschild bank economy. That's why they overthrew Gaddafi using the ISIS components, and Qatar and Saudi Arabia were parties, and they did the same thing in Syria. And this is confirmed by people like Senator Dick Black and Tulsi Gabbard and others who've actually been on the ground and met with Bashar Assad.
speaking about the Libya operation, um, why did they go so far as to eliminate Gaddafi and his children? Um, if Because I'm thinking that it had to be that plus some more. They had to want to use him as an example, the way
Well,
they treated him.
you're dealing with very ruthless, maniac, drug-induced psychopaths and immoral, godless savages and heathens that are high on Captagon, are paid by CIA. They're paid. Their families are taken care of by Saudi Arabia and Qatar, the royal families. So they are trained to do absolute horror. They're trained and forgive the graphicness of the imagery and the language, but they're trained to cut off the breasts of women and cut off men's heads and other members and put them in the refrigerators of their family members as warnings. They are trained to engage in horrific dissections and tortures of people. They are encouraged to do that to induce terror and fear and horror as control mechanisms. So this has been something that you can trace back to the Japanese, the Germans, the United States after World War II, MK Ultra, the CIA. They have been actively aware of how to combine psychological warfare with political color revolutions in order to overthrow regimes and create puppet governments to rape and plunder and pillage the natural resources of countries. And that's what we did to Afghanistan. That's what we've done to Libya. That's what we did to Iraq. That's what we've tried to do to Ukraine. We tried to do it to Syria, but Russia has stepped in and blocked this. And I think the days of these activities are very quickly coming to an end, and with it, the United States government as a whole, because of the fragility that exists in this country. Besides all of the corrosives, the social and mental corrosives that we have in our own political bloodstream with